And if you had to pay the temple, you could not use the Roman coins because they had a graven image. And that was haram. So the temple minted its own coins, its own money. And Nabi Isa alayhi salam accepted that. If the temple could do it at that time, the masjid could do it today. But we have a Ummah of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam today. You'll have to forgive me. You have to forgive me, please, because the anger inside of me is too great. We have an ummah that is content to eat biryani and go home and sleep. And we've forgotten how to think. We have forgotten how to think. And I have come to Britain just to ask you to think, that's all. That's all. And they closed the doors of the masjid on me. So the temple minted its own coins without any graven image. And when the people came to the temple, they'd have to change their Roman money for temple money. Now, if you came with 100 grams of Roman gold and you wanted to exchange for temple gold, you had to receive 100 grams of temple gold. Because an exchange of money for money was not recognized as business. No, it's not business. The definition of a business transaction is that you must embrace risk. You can either make a profit or you can suffer a loss. That's business. But exchanging money for money is not business. So it is prohibited that I should take 100 grams from you of gold, Roman gold, and give you 95 grams of temple gold. Where is the business? Where is the risk? Where is the profit and loss? None. So Nabi Isa alayhi salam recognized this as riba, an unequal exchange of money. I give you $1,000 and you return $2,000 at 100% interest. And he cussed them. The exactly same thing that they were doing there in the temple with an unequal exchange of gold. Here it was an unequal exchange of dates. But how did this become riba? The dates. We can recognize the gold. If you have, remember an exchange of camels, Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu exchanged one camel for 4. It was not riba. No. So what made this riba? We can understand the goal, but why the dates? To understand this, we have to go to another hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, after which we go to the Quran. These are his words. Let me first give you the hadith and then I'll explain it. He said, gold for gold, silver for silver, wheat for wheat, barley for barley, dates for dates, salt for salt, like for like. It must be equal for equal, hand to hand, otherwise it will be riba. Now let me give you the explanation. If a transaction involves an exchange of gold for gold, like the one in the temple, or silver for silver, or wheat for wheat, or barley for barley, or dates for dates, as this one with Bilal radiallahu ta'ala, or salt for salt, 6 things. If it is like for like, it must be an equal exchange. And it must be hand to hand, meaning a cash transaction, not credit. Otherwise, it's riba. What is common to all 6? Answer: all 6 were used as money. That's right. If gold and silver coins was temporarily scarce in the market in Medina. Let me repeat that, because we live in an age, we know the fast lane of life, with this thing called a smartphone. You know it? And now people have lost the capacity to even think. All they do now is like a word processor, they process information. And they're very good at that. So fast, I'm amazed at how they process information, but they cannot think. They've lost the capacity to think now in this fast lane of life. If there was a shortage of gold and silver coins in the market in Medina, they would use dates as money. There are some who will call them fools, so let the fools go and leave us alone. They would use dates as money. And since dates were used as money, that is why you must have an equal exchange of dates. You can take the dates and sell it, and then take the money and buy. But you cannot have an unequal exchange of dates, because dates were used as money. And so from this hadith we have a definition of money from the Sunnah, and we go to the Quran soon. The money in Islam, because they don't teach this in the Darul Uloom. Go ask them. Go and ask them. They don't teach this in the Darul Uloom. They graduate from the Darul Uloom and they know nothing about this. Money in the Sunnah, the definition of money in the Sunnah is that it is either gold and silver coins, or when gold and silver are in short supply, it would be commodities of food consumption, which are in abundant supply in the market, like dates in Medina. Is dates abundance in Medina? Oh yes, shake your heads. Plenty dates in Medina. So money is either gold and silver, or commodities of food consumption which are in abundant supply in the market, but which have a shelf life. We won't use mangoes as money because the mangoes will rot. But you use commodities like wheat and barley and dates and salt, which has a shelf life. Number two, that in every instance, money in the Sunnah always had intrinsic value. Anybody wants to challenge me? Huh? The value of the money is always inside the money. And it's a value created by Allah. That's money in the Sunnah. Do I have any questions? Is anyone uncomfortable with what I've said so far?
Sheikh, I know it's
Yes.
my problem because I'm confused, but going back to your first example, I don't understand why 1 kilo of superior dates turn out to be is a riba if you exchange it with 2
All
kilos
right,
of.
then. We'll have to get someone
But
to
this, as you said,
Yeah, no, we'll have to get someone to explain it to you, because I did explain it very plainly and very simply. Yes, I did it. Very plainly and very simply. Yes.
So, Sheikh, can I ask, the hadith with Bilal, the dates, when we sell the dates, we're selling the dates as a commodity rather than dates as money. That's what makes it halal. So rather than dates for dates?
Because when gold and silver were in short supply in Medina, they used dates as money. Once you're using dates as money, you cannot have an unequal exchange of money. Once it's the same money. If it's dates on this side and wheat on the other side, no problem. But once it's dates on this side and dates on this side, If you have an unequal exchange, what do? You open the door for the Bank of England, you open the door for the money lender. Once it's an unequal exchange of money for money, you open the door for the money lender. Have you understood now? Good. Now then, if you are in, let me test you, Purdy. If you're in the Indonesian island of Java and you want to bring back Sunnah money and you have a shortage of gold and silver coins, what would you use as money? Rice is correct. Rice is correct. Not the cooked rice, no, not the cooked rice, the paddy rice. And if you are in the Cuban island of Cuba, my neighbor, I'm in Trinidad, in Cuba. And you know Fidel Castro stopped smoking tobacco, you know. And you want to bring back Sunnah money, and you have a shortage of gold and silver, what would you use as money? Sugar is correct. MashaAllah, Holy Masjid, you're right. So then now, we have a definition of money from the Sunnah. Let's go to the Quran. In Surah Al-Imran, Allah speaks about the curious conduct of the Israelite people. وَمِنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ. Prior to the advent of Nabi Isa alayhi salam, they were all called Banu Israel. After the advent of Nabi Isa alayhi salam, some of them accepted him, and when they saw him crucified before their eyes, they wept. And others rejected him, and when they saw him crucified before their eyes, they celebrated. They can't condemn me for that. It's not anti-Semitism, it's the Quran. So now you have two people in Banu Israel. One who reject him, and now they no longer call Banu Israel.